everybody, it is Tracy here from Beyond Obedience, and it is time once again for Fake Fireside Chats with Tracy and Rue. She's here. Just keeping her up. All right, so today on Fake Fireside Chats, we're going to be doing part 2 of our discussion on recall. Last week, if you recall, Last week, if you recall, we were talking about recall. Our good friend Colleen and her dog Brody had sent in a message, question talking about how she had the unfortunate incident of seeing her neighbor's dog get hit by a car on her road, and that got her thinking about recall and how she can maybe improve Brody's recall because she would never want to see that happen to him. And last week we talked about the obedience of recall, teaching them what recall means. Today we are going to be talking about the beyond obedience answer to recall. For anybody that knows me knows that I always like to go a little bit deeper into these things, talking about the relationship and your relationship with your dog, getting a deeper, more meaningful relationship with your dog, right? So the beyond obedience answer to her recall question was going to be, of course, you have to be somebody worth coming back to, okay? You have to be somebody worth coming back to. Beyond your treats, beyond your clapping, beyond your happy demeanor, beyond your excited, whatever you need to do to get your dog to come to you, beyond that, you need to be somebody worth coming back to. And how do you do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. You do that by working on that leadership and your leadership scorecard. Leadership being that first foundation block of all things relationship. I quite often say that recall is a long-term relationship goal, and it needs to be something you work on every day. And you don't work on it by necessarily practicing recall. You work on it by working on your leadership every single day, to be conscientious and thinking about, am I a person worth coming back to? What does it mean to be a leader to your dog? Well, quite simply, you need to be calm. You need to be consistent. You need to be under control no matter what is going on around you. And that for humans is incredibly challenging to do. We tend to react instead of responding to our environmental stimulus. We tend to overreact. We tend to be chaotic. We tend to be emotional. And when that happens, we lose credibility as being a good leader for our dog. Now, I will tell you quite honestly and truly that this was tested in my life just recently, and I can say that the sad reality of it was I lost a ton of leadership score points this last few months of my life where I decided to move. We all know that moving is incredibly stressful. This move was one of the most stressful I have ever been in. And as a result, I lost massive leadership points. I was emotional. I was chaotic. I was insane in some of the areas. I know it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe, right? But it was. It was hard. And as a result, when we got here, I'm not gonna lie, my dogs went a little bit crazy. There was new smells, there were new freedoms, there were new challenges, and I can honestly say the recall rate of my dogs dropped to about 20%. I was lucky if dogs came back when I called them. And as frustrating as that may be, it was a reality check that even myself, one who thinks that I am thinking about leadership scorecard all the time, if your life gets chaotic and stuff gets stressful, that's going to be the first thing to go, right? Your leadership points are going to drop, and therefore your recall game is going to drop, okay? So I hope that helps. That is the beyond obedience answer to recall. You have to be somebody worth coming back to, okay? So we've covered the obedience of recall, right? How to teach it, how to proof it, how to generalize it. We've now today talked about the beyond obedience answer to this. Be a person worth coming back to. And next week we are going to talk about the slap you in the face reality check of recall. That's where we're going to get real. We're going to talk about things that perhaps we don't necessarily want to talk about next week on Fake Fireside Chats. I hope you enjoyed today. We will see you next week on Fake Fireside Chats.